Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Barakahak Wadash, Barakathum. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, glory, and infinite honors to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone who rule and teach well. And peace and salutations to you sincere Akim out there, pushing this word in truth and sincerity to the four corners of the globe. May you brothers endure until the end. This is the brother Ra'aya coming at you with another lesson, and I'm going to start it off with a post from End Time Headlines Instagram page. Israel must prepare for a potential war with Turkey. And hey, it's not a potential war, it's an inevitable war. And Israel, Turkey, Russia, Iran, the United States, the other NATO nations are all going to play a major role in it. It's the battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, the War of Armageddon, the main part of World War III in Joel chapter 3, which we'll go to that first. This is Joel chapter 3, verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, the heathen Gentiles, prepare war. World War III, the battle in the Valley of Jehoshaphat, Israel versus Turkey, Israel versus Iran, which is the U.S. versus Iran. Wake up the mighty men. Let all the men of war draw near. Let them come up. And what have we been seeing over these last years? Many different events taking place in the so-called Middle East, which is really Western Asia, dragging these different nations down into the Valley of Jehoshaphat, getting them perfectly positioned for, the War of Armageddon. Verse 10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. And you've had Iran talking big shit to Israel, the U.S., and really just the West in general, saying, look, hey, you want to come against us? Hey, we're more than happy to respond. And what have we been seeing? First ever Iranian strikes on Israeli territory, and all these things are only going to intensify. Assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Yahweh, and those are the death angels of the Most High, holding back this great destruction, waiting to get the go-ahead to fully release it, which is mainly going to happen after the MARKOFTHEBEAST in Revelation 13, verses 16 to 18, which is the RFID/NFC micro C-hip implant is mandatorily implemented. And just recently, President-elect Donald Trump was having an interview where he was saying, if Hamas doesn't release those hostages, those Israeli hostages, all hell is going to break loose. And we know that the U.S. is the lapdog of the state of Israel. And, the main goal is Iran in Western Asia. And then you also have Elon Musk in Donald Trump's cabinet. And what's he known for? Neuralink, that brain-computer interface, that mark in the forehead, in Revelation chapter 13. So everything is perfectly, coming into place to fulfill biblical prophecy. And Apostle Tahar has termed 2025 to be the hopeful year of the deliverance of the elect of the nation of Israel and the destruction of Esau, Edom, and Abaratazah. This is the year that all these things come to pass. Verse 12, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the Valley of Jehoshaphat, which in the Hebrew is Yahweh's Shaphat, or Yahweh's judgment. For there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about, for afflicting the apple of his eye, the true children of Israel, who are known as the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans today. Those people over in the Holy Land right now are Amalekite Edomites, who appointed the land into their possession, as pursuant to Ezekiel chapter 36, verse 5. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Come get you down, for the press is full. The fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of Yahweh is near in the Valley of Decision. And when we see headlines like this, and this article we're about to go into on prophecynewswatch.com titled Turkey's Vision for Syria, a Step Toward Ezekiel 38's Magog Prophecy, hey, we see that the day is very near in the Valley of Decision. And this article was published on December 27th of 2024, so fairly recently. Turkey is actively working to reshape Syria's political and military landscape, aligning it with Ankara's strategic interests and reflecting President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's broader neo-Ottoman ambitions. This initiative involves deploying military advisors, providing support for groups like Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, and influencing the new Syrian government's policies. Following the fall of Bashar al-Assad's regime, Turkey has pledged to assist the new Syrian government in building a formidable army. Plans include creating a force of up to 300,000 personnel, with Turkish advisors aiding in the restoration of Syria's navy, air force, and ground forces. And, that land of Syria is very strategic. It would allow, Israel and the U.S., greater abilities to do airstrikes on Iran. And Syria was home to Russia's only warm sea port to the Mediterranean, as well as an air force that they had there. And while Turkey is a NATO member and, aligned with the West right now, according to biblical prophecy, they're eventually going to betray the West and ally themselves with the East, with Russia. And think about it like this, with Turkey planning on building up, Syria's military again, the Air Force, the Navy, and ground forces. When they do betray the West for Russia, all those assets, hey, they're going to be allied with Russia, giving them more of a pivot in Western Asia. Additionally, Turkish troops are expected to be stationed in 5 regions within Syria. Turkey's involvement extends to supporting various rebel factions, including HTS, which has received backing from Ankara to expand its influence in northwestern Syria. This is part of Turkey's strategy to counter Kurdish forces and establish a stronghold in the region. Tensions between Turkey and Israel. Israel has responded to the evolving situation in Syria with a series of strategic measures aimed at protecting its security interests. Following the collapse of the Assad regime, Israel has reinforced its military presence in the Golan Heights, creating a buffer zone to deter potential incursions by hostile forces aligned with the new Syrian government or other militant groups. Additionally, the Israeli Air Force has conducted numerous airstrikes targeting former Syrian military sites and weapons depots to prevent advanced weaponry or strategic infrastructure from falling into the hands of the new regime or its allies, including Iran-backed militias. These actions underscore Israel's determination to maintain a tactical advantage in the region, particularly as Turkey's involvement complicates the balance of power in Syria. Turkish relations with Israel have been marked by increasing hostility in recent years. The tensions are rooted in ideological and geopolitical differences, with Erdogan frequently positioning himself as a defender of the Palestinian cause. During the Hamas-Israel war, Erdogan accused Israel of committing deletions in Gaza and referred to the country as an occupying power. These remarks further strained diplomatic ties, which had already been fragile following incidents such as the 2010 Mavi Marmara flotilla raid, where Israeli commandos clashed with activists aboard a Turkish ship attempting to break the Gaza blockade. A recent address by Erdogan in Mardin exemplified the growing intersection of nationalism and regional ambitions. While addressing the crowd, chants erupted, "Mr. President, take us to Jerusalem." Erdogan paused before delivering a pointed response. Patience brings victory. This moment symbolized Erdogan's alignment with nationalists and religious fervor, and has long been a cornerstone of his leadership. So hey, the tensions are there, and they're only going to intensify. But jump down to this last part: biblical prophecy and Turkey's role. Many Bible prophecy teachers highlight Turkey as a key player in the Gog-Magog alliance prophesied in Ezekiel 38 and 39, which will be part of an invasion against Israel. They point to Turkey's growing hostility toward Israel and Erdogan's inflammatory rhetoric as evidence. Erdogan's speeches frequently call for a unified Islamic stance against Israel, are interpreted as aligning with these prophetic scenarios. And first and foremost, you heard it from the men of the Lord, the true prophets of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, chiefly through GMS or Great Millstone, as well as the brothers that come in the spirit of GMS. Because, before the prophets really came on the scene, nobody was dealing with the Bible like it's being dealt with right now. Now everybody's a biblical scholar. Ezekiel's prophecy describes a coalition of nations from the north, led by Gog, that will attack Israel in the latter days. Many scholars and Bible teachers identify Magog as modern-day Russia. Turkey is identified as Gomer. And, throughout the years, I've done videos showing that Turkey is Gomer in Ezekiel 38. And I have a book with old world maps in it that show that Gomer was located in the present land of Turkey, alongside other nations in Western Asia, including Persia/Iran and Libya. Current events such as Turkey's growing alliance with Iran and Russia are often cited as potential precursors to this future coalition. Turkey's involvement in regional conflicts, its increasing military presence in Syria, and its support for groups hostile to Israel further align with the narrative described in the prophetic texts. So that's it with this article. Now let's go to Ezekiel chapter 38. This is Ezekiel chapter 38. I'm going to start at verse 1, and the header reads, "Prophesy about Gog and the future invasion of Israel." And I remember using Bible Hub, Blue Letter Bible long enough to know that they didn't used to have these headers before the chapters. But again, with the men of the Lord on the scene and correctly breaking down these scriptures, hey, this is bringing everybody up on a biblical, literacy level. So now they're able to put, titles like this above certain prophetic things. "And the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, Russia, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws." The Most High putting Russia in that old confrontational Soviet Union spirit, which we can clearly see with their military operation in Ukraine, them helping out these second and third world nations against the West, and hey, the BRICS, creating a completely separate economic system from, the SWIFT and Western system. "And I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, and all of them handling swords, their military might, soldiers, tanks, fighter jets, helicopters, missile defense systems, hypersonic missiles, you name it." Now we're going into the allies of Gog. Persia, ancient name for Iran, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, which when you look up all these nations, in some form or fashion, they have either an economic or military tie with Russia right now. All of them with shield and helmet. Gomer, or Turkey and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Verse 8, after many days thou shalt be visited. In the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword and is gathered out of many people. Speaking about the land of Israel right now, and those gathered out of many people are those Amalekite Edomites that have come from many different parts of the world, a lot from Central and Eastern Europe into the Holy Land to, occupy it. Again, Ezekiel 36 verse 5, and try to shew themselves as the children of the Most High against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste. And it's currently what? A desert wasteland where they have to import trees and water and other amenities. And that's because the true children of the Most High aren't there. When they are back in the land, that land is going to flourish and become an oasis. But it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely, all of them. And for the longest time, those Amalekite Edomites have been dwelling safely because those other Middle Eastern nations weren't strong enough militarily to come against them. And of course, they had Uncle Sam in their back pocket. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm, thou and all thy company unto thee, Russia and her allies. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, and all thy bands and many people with thee. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, it shall come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought to come against, the land of Israel, and also to come against the United States of America. Verse 11, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages, and I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having neither bars nor gates. And this is talking about the land of Israel and the United States of America, because for the longest time, both of those countries thought that they were untouchable, that their missile defense and anti-missile defense systems would protect them. But now the Most High has put it on these nations to what? Have these weapons that can, break through those anti-missile defense systems. Iran recently had those limited strikes into the land of Israel, and Russia has these hypersonic weapons, which are far in advance of anything that the United States of America or the land of Israel has. And Russia's allies, have these weapons as well. Verse 12, to take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle and goods, and that dwell in the midst of the land. So going back to this very post we started with, Israel must prepare for potential, inevitable war with Turkey. And all these signs, these current events that are taking place, are pointing towards this eventuality. And fun fact, those Turks, they're Edomites as well. A lot of them, those Ottoman Turks, and they're Amalekite Edomites. But I'm going to close it out in Jeremiah 49 verse 20. Therefore hear the counsel of Yahweh that he had taken against Edom, known as these so-called white people today. The Americans, the British, the Russians, the Europeans, the 1948ers, the Turks. And his purpose is that he hath purposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. And that least of the flock is talking about, those 1948ers over in the Holy Land. They're going to do something, to trigger that war against Iran, which is going to draw out these different nations in to the so-called Middle East, Western Asia, into the Valley of Jehoshaphat for, Joel chapter 3. surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. And like I just said, those a lot of those Turks or Amalekite Edomites as well. And we can see that they have their own antagonistic ambitions. So, they could also play a big role in being a part of that least of the flock that draws them out, especially if they continue to have friction with, the 1948ers. And we know that Gomer is going to eventually ally themselves with God. So if they go against, the state of Israel, hey, that's going to bring in Uncle Sam to their defense. But that's it with this video. And with this video, I hope you sincere Akim and Akwath were edified. Just keep strong. As we can clearly see, we are almost out of this final wicked captivity of the heathen nations, chiefly of the Edomites. And as always, I'm going to say Abad Babal, Kwam Yasharala, and until next time, Shalom.